Hello, I hope you are having a good day. If you're not having a good day, I hope your day gets better. Today I want to talk about something that I personally think is really stupid, and that is transphobia. Now, just for some context, I fall under the trans umbrella, and so does my partner. I also have several friends that are trans, non-binary, So in my life, and in other people's lives, I've seen it quite a bit. It's one of those things I just can never really wrap my head around. And maybe that's just because I'm very much a person that is like, as long as you're not hurting people, who cares? Who gives a shit? But for some reason, so many people focus on the trans people and trying to beat them down and push their transphobia on other people, when most trans people are literally just trying to exist. And what's funnier is they always try to bring up the same topics with it over and over again. They always mention specifically bathrooms, which I think is very funny, because usually when they're talking about like trans women or trans men using the bathrooms, by the way, they're almost never talking about trans men. When people are talking about their transphobia, it's almost like they forget that trans men exist. Not that I'm saying that like trans men should get transphobia. I don't think anyone should be pushing transphobia, but it's always trans women. They're always targeting trans women and people who are non-binary. But they always bring up the bathroom stuff, and it's always well, if you start letting trans women in the bathrooms, what's going to stop a man from going in there and saying he's transgender? Well, I wanted to let you know, someone who's doing that, they're not exactly going to follow the sign on the bathroom saying can go into what bathroom. They're just going to go and do whatever crime they want to commit. So, I never understand that excuse. Because, funny thing, everyone who's in the bathroom is there for the same exact fucking reason. And can you guess what that is? It's to use the bathroom. I really hope that's what you were thinking, because if not, where was your head at? Are you even paying attention? I also think it's funny because the amount of people that's like their entire personality is that they are transphobic, and they're always like asking what's in people's pants and stuff like that. And it's like, for someone who like does not like trans people, you sure as hell think about what's in their pants a lot. Which is funny too, because if you look at statistics of stuff such as the Hub and look at where stuff of trans people is looked up the most, it's almost always in the South, in the places where it's the most like close-minded and the most bigoted, because those same people are lusting after those same exact people. They saw a trans girl for the first time, immediately thought it was a cisgender woman, found them hot, and then the moment they found out they were trans, they're like, no, that makes me gay, I can't be gay, so I hate them. It's always the funniest thing to me, because a lot of them, it's the whole like, we can always tell. I don't know what they're taking, but I have seen like trans women and trans men who have been so deep into their transition that like, if they hadn't told me they were trans, I would have never fucking known. I've seen trans men with bigger biceps and arms than I have seen on most cis men, and some of them can grow really good beards too, which is always impressive. And I know that's because of the testosterone and stuff, but I'm still always impressed by what that does, because if you look at like what testosterone does compared to like someone who is going from male to female and is taking estrogen, the differences are so different with if you're going from female to male and taking testosterone, and it deepens your voice and everything, whereas like with trans women, it only does so much. And then if we're talking about like trans women, dude, I have seen so many trans women who I would genuinely say are gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And that's why I think it genuinely is just a lot of these dudes look at them and find them hot, and then that puts them in fight or flight, because they have that mindset that this is not okay for them, because that person used to be a man. And then not even just men, if we get into like TERFs, trans exclusionary radical feminists. It's always the dumbest thing to me, because I've seen so many women that are almost more transphobic than men, which is shocking. And because joke's on them, calling yourself a feminist and being exclusionary, all that does is hurt cis women too. It hurts everybody, especially when you start trying to police who is and who isn't trans and who counts as an actual woman. That's a slippery slope, because then you get those people who are in bathrooms yelling at cis women just because someone's a little butch. And then there's the bathroom bills that get pushed where it's you have to do your sex assigned at birth, and it's okay. Again, every time when they make laws like that, they're only thinking of trans women. What are you gonna do when frickin' Tyrone, who has been in his transition for fucking 5 years on T, who is a trans man, has full top surgery, covered in tattoos, has huge biceps and a beard, and has to walk into the women's restroom because that's what he was born as? Yeah, people are gonna get a little uncomfortable, because whenever people make these laws, they're not thinking about that shit. They are thinking specifically of the stereotype is always someone who is at the beginning of taking estrogen and is in a skirt with hairy legs or something like that. It still has a deep voice. And it's no, that is not the majority of people who are trans. Now, I'm not saying there isn't, because some people are early in their transition. Hell, I'm only a few weeks on estrogen, and you couldn't tell. And I also am not going to do anything with my voice, because I don't give a shit. As I said, I'm under that umbrella. I don't give a shit. I'm me. Who cares? That's besides the point. But these people, it's always trans people are constantly on their minds. And it's weird. Especially because, again, it always goes back to what's in your pants. And it's why are you thinking so much about that? I get it. I think trans men and trans women and non-binary people are usually pretty hot. This coming from a non-binary person. This is not me being a chaser or anything like that. I want to clarify that really quick. I just think people look good when they look good. But with a lot of these people who are transphobic, it gets to a point where it's genuine just obsession. And it's the weirdest thing. Especially because these people are just trying to exist. They're just trying to be happy. A lot of people who are like this and closed-minded like to think that being trans is being mentally ill. I would like to counter that with being trans is what helps you get out of being mentally ill. If you stay and don't transition, obviously some people they are comfortable with whatever. Some people want to fully transition. Some people only need little things. Some people whatever. But people who are fully transitioning, that is what helps them. These are usually people who aren't able to transition, aren't able to get out of these places, and they finally start to be able to transition, finally be able to feel like they can express themselves and be their true self. And that's what helps. I don't know if you've seen people who go through those time lapses where they show them in their journeys of transitioning. They always look so much happier at the end. Now, again, some people, sure, they detransition, and some people aren't comfortable with that. But the thing, too, that you need to remember if you're going to be a person who, mentions detransitioning, usually people detransition because they do not feel safe. Because of the Kermit. Screw it, I'm keeping that in. I think that's funny. Because of the current political climate of everything, these trans people feel threatened, They feel like they're going to get hunted down. I mean, there's multiple trans women as of recently, as of me making this, it is currently May of 2026, on the 26th. There's been recent news of multiple different trans women being found dead and or getting killed. And then you question why there's people going around detransitioning and trying to use that as a gotcha moment, when it's people probably wouldn't be doing that if you would stop being dicks, if you'd stop pushing this rhetoric that these people are just out to groom your kids and out to do all this. And it's no, these people just want to be happy and be in their bodies, And again, I say these people, I am technically one of those people, I'm non-binary, I I am me. I don't care. As someone who has been out like this for 5.5 years, about maybe 6, I am happier now than I was 6 years ago. And only recently have I started doing the full stuff I want to do. Because again, as I said, I've only been taking estrogen for not even 2 weeks. I already feel happier. Being able to fully express myself and be myself helped me so much. I went from being someone who would sit in my room, be sad, had no one to talk to and anything, thought I was just gonna die before I turned 20 by my own hand. And now here I am, 24, and I'm happy. I get to be myself. I feel like I can be myself. Now, is it scary? Yeah, it is scary. The whole world's scary right now, you know? But it's always good to hold on. It's always, before you start being hateful towards these people, think about what they're going through and what is helping them. Because being able to get these things, being able to start estrogen, being able to get testosterone, being able to get all these different surgeries to help you feel like yourself, it's so helpful. Like, imagine being something that you're not. Imagine existing and you just know there is something wrong with you and something that is not right, and you can't figure out what that is, and then one day you find the solution, you find what helps you, and you can finally feel free. And people hate that, and I never understand that. That's why I think transphobia is stupid. I genuinely don't understand it. And this is like coming from a person when I was a freshman in high school. I almost went down the route of being an incel. I'm probably going to make a whole video on that, but that's besides the point. I had times back then where I would post on stuff and I'd be transphobic. I watched those freaking like SJW Gets Owned videos and I thought trans people were dumb. I didn't think that it was anything. I followed all that rhetoric until I actually went out into the world and met people. Once you actually like meet a trans person and talk to them and have a meaningful conversation and aren't looking at them as something that you see online, and you actually personalize everything, it's different. And so many of the people who spread hate against these people have never met a trans person in their life. They haven't. It's trans people make a very little percentage of the population. And yet there's so much hate towards this small population. Most of these people are probably not going to meet someone who is. Especially if it's someone around them, like close to them, because they probably are scared. So my advice for anyone who does have these feelings and wants to get better, go meet people. Go have actual conversations. Because the last thing most people want is to be hated. And I know that most people don't want to be walking around every day with hate in their heart. Because all that does is make you a horrible person. And it turns you into a bad person. It makes you angry. And what's the point of going through life angry? What's the point of living if you can't just live? I'm realizing this is probably going to come off a little preachy. Oh well. It is and isn't supposed to. I'm kind of just ranting, but I just want to talk about it. That's the best advice I can give. Just go out there and actually talk to people. Don't look at it through the lens of the internet. And to anyone out there who's watching this who is trans, it'll get better. It will. Just hold on. Be yourself. And if you currently are in a place where you do not feel safe or comfortable being yourself, that's okay. You'll get to a point where you can. Just hold on. And for everyone, just try to show compassion. Try to feel for others. Try to understand what other people are going through to the best of your ability. That's where I'm going to end this. I hope you have a good day. I hope your day gets better. Please drink water. Please take care of yourself. Please, if you're going to have discussion in the comments, be civil about it. Otherwise, fuck off. Have a good day.